Welcome to the meeting, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to have you here today. This is all about you connecting with other women to a deeper, and men, and having a deeper level of knowledge about wealth today. So I'm excited that today is the PWN's Level Up at Lunch. This is normally, for those who are new to this, the third Thursday of the month. And for those of you who are listening in and may not be aware of what PWN is all about, is we're a professional organization that helps women connect to build lasting relationships, professional development, and also business connection. So it's really about, and we also help women in need throughout our community with our annual fundraising activities. So today, our featured speaker is a trio. So we're going to be hearing from three experts on women's wealth. That's Sharda Ryan, Larissa Lee, and Liz Levine. Then they're going to be sharing with us tips and tools of the trade. And so today, I just want to say thank you so much to our sponsor, Sharda Ryan, with the Wealth Design Group. Let's see, I also want to thank some of our other sponsors, which is Stephanie Shields, with the CEO of Bookkeeping Central, for taking care of our bookkeeping needs. So thank you. Shout out for our year-long sponsors. That's Rain and Technology Solutions, Guardian Accounting. We have our very own Krista Beavers here, our Woman of the Year. Estrada and Associates Wealth Management, Katarina Rando, Serving Women on a Mission. Sarah Fromm, which is our local dentist, and Jody Royer with Magic Mind Marketing, and Mimi Mina with A's Creation, and Diane Glim with Monterey County Weekly. And let's, Krista, why don't you take it away from here?
I will be happy to. Well, today we have dynamic financial panel. Oh my goodness. Featuring three powerhouse women who are reshaping how we think about money, wealth, and legacy. So we have our financial advisor, Sharda Ryan, who brings decades of experience helping families and businesses build solid financial strategies. We have Larissa Lee, wealth manager and financial educator, who will inspire you to think long term and leave a legacy of purpose. And lastly, but not least, we have Liz Levine, who is a mortgage expert and home ownership advocate, who will share insights and from her 24 years guiding clients to achieve their dreams of owning a home. So to tell you a little bit more though about each one. So Sharda Ryan is a financial advisor to women and their families. So Sharda has helped businesses and organizations with financial strategies and advice designed to meet their immediate and future needs. She lives in Salinas with her husband, Nate, and her dogs. She serves on multiple boards, including our very own PWN, as secretary. And notably, she's notably on the Salinas Downtown Rotary Club, Girls Inc., and Tatum's Garden Foundation. Next, we have Larissa Lee, who is a wealth manager with Penn Financial Group. Larissa works to help you grow and manage your wealth to empower your purpose through retirement, or inspirement, as she likes to call your legacy. So all your hard work can span generations, and in her free time, she likes to go to MPC, CSUMB, and other colleges to educate students on different career opportunities in accounting and finance. And we are grateful to have her on our PWN board as our social media. Lastly, sorry, Liz. Liz Levine is a mortgage loan originator, private wealth mortgage banker, construction builder loan, and she specializes in those. And yeah, she tried to say all that 3 times. With over 24 years of mortgage experience, her goal is to educate and assist clients in achieving their dreams of owning a home. Liz is an active member in the Women's Council of Realtors and a willing volunteer in the community at events like Pacific Grove Good Old Days. So if y'all could give these 3 dynamic ladies a round of applause. turn it over to you all to hit us with some information, and then we're going to open it up to questions. So we want to give a few minutes for each lady to kind of tell you a little more about what they do, what they specialize in, and then we will open the floor to questions. Sharda, you want to kick us off?
Sure. So I think when we talk about women in investing, I think that there are a lot of setbacks that women face as far as that goes. And it's some of the things that I help my clients with. So, first of all, there is, which we've heard about throughout the years, is the gender wage gap, right? So women make however many cents to a man's dollar. And where does that come from? How is that generated? Well, studies have shown there are some gender biases there, but there's also the fact that women take more time out of the workforce. So they're the primary caregiver typically, not only for children, but for parents as well. And then also sometimes women they lack confidence in their knowledge as far as investing goes. And that again is probably due to some gender biases that we live with as we grow up. When most people think of a financial advisor, right, they think of the old gray-haired white guy sitting behind the table at like a Morgan Stanley or a Merrill Lynch. So sometimes it has to do with just our own biases around gender. Women also will.
Sharda, can I hit you with a question?
Yes.
Okay, within that though, what would be the most common financial setback that the women actually face with that, and how do you advise them to build the resistance against it?
Mm-hmm. So, one other thing is that women will technically live longer, right? So their money their money has to live longer. Yeah, their money has to last longer, and they're more likely to be in long-term care for longer as they age. So, some of the things that you can do to build resilience is just to know that women inherently are better investors. So studies have showed that women actually perform better when investing because they trade less and they have a better long-term vision. So they know that they can't be trading all the time. They know that they need to be in it for the long haul. And you can also start early with investing. And also, when you're looking for jobs, know your worth. So learn how to negotiate for better salaries and also find different ways to share caregiving duties because the more time you're out of the workforce, the negatively it'll impact you in the long run, especially when saving and planning for retirement.
I appreciate that, Charter, because I do find that many a times women are afraid to ask. They take that first offer, and men are much better at negotiating. So I thank you for sharing that for sure. I've got another question for you before we pop over to Larissa. How can a single professional woman really maximize their current income to strategize and really prepare more for some key financial milestones?
So I think it starts with what you currently have. So everyone, women especially, should have a budget strategy. And what does that mean? We talk about budgets, but the most important piece is that you need to be paying yourself first. So there's a rule that most advisors suggest, and that's a 50-30-20 rule. So 50% of your income you use to pay for your needs, right? So your rent or your food, those are things you have to live. 30% are more things that you want. That's like lifestyle expenses. And then 20% you're going to pay yourself. And what does that mean? Well, you're going to maybe 10% goes to savings. Maybe and 10% goes to retirement, or you need to catch up. So you're going to do 20% towards retirement. And then you want to have some goals. So make sure that you create buckets for different strategies. So maybe you need an emergency fund. Maybe you need a fund for travel. Maybe you need a fund to buy a house. So just make sure that you have the different buckets for those goals. And then always start early and stay invested. So remember the power of compound interest. The longer you stay invested, the more interest that's built. Interest is built on top of that. So those are some of the strategies. And then also stay educated. And I don't mean TikTok educated. I mean be educated by trusted resources. One of the resources I like to use is investopedia.com, and I can put that in the chat. That has some really good, just high level explanations of different things that I've sent my clients to.
Thank you for sharing that, Sharda, because I think, getting some information from social media is helpful, but to not take that as the gospel, go research it for yourself. Go ask for other experts that you know and trust in that area to really help and guide you, because nothing is a one item fits all in any way. Larissa, please just give me a brief overview again about you before I start digging in. Introduce yourself and share.
Yeah. So I'm Larissa Lee. I'm a financial advisor with Pence Financial Group. I've been in the industry now for 13 years. I started out as an admin, so I got the whole backstory of how financial planning really works. I did go to college to be a CPA. Last minute, last semester, I changed my career. So I am a financial advisor with a little bit of a tax background. I have a cat. His name's Charlie. And he's great. He's looking at me right now going, "Come on, Mom. When are you going to get off the Zoom?" And what else can I say? I worked under a woman for 9 years. It was a mom and pop shop, I guess is kind of how you can explain it. And I worked with educators. So most of my clients are those with 403Bs, 401Ks, 457s. And so a little bit of a different background, I guess you could say.
So, what are some meaningful ways that you advise women to help them plan for their financial legacy?
So one of the main things is, gathering what is your goal? How would you like to fulfill your retirement? How do you want to pass on your legacy? May it be something as, simple as purchasing a home, purchasing a second home, buying a boat. I mean, very simple things, right? Traveling, I want to travel. I want to go across the world. I don't want to just stay here. I've raised my family, right? We've been a mom for so long, and I just want to take off. I want to go explore. I have this, Paris is on my list, or Greece, or, I'm really involved in this church. I see that a lot too. And I really want to give back. Or it may be something as simple as I've worked really hard. Everything that I've worked for, I need to pass on to my family. How can I do that? So at the end of the day, it comes down to objectives, goals, planning. Because one of my favorite quotes is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
So then what are some of those ways that you would advise people to plan for that financial legacy if, say, they want to give it all to their children?
Be cautious of the laws. A lot of laws are changing now. So there's a big one, when it comes to your house and how you pass your home. A lot of people don't know about the new laws that come down with housing and investments. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to grab Charlie because he's getting crazy. He's gonna turn me off in a second. And so there's a few things, right? I don't want to get into the details of the laws or anything. If you'd like to go into more detail, you can always schedule an appointment or a call with me. But a lot of people don't know that if you pass on your home now, 9 times out of 10, your family is not going to be able to sustain it. Taxes have gone up, things have gone up. There's a lot now that they're trying to eliminate generational wealth. And so I like to educate my clients and people on, what are the best practices when I'm leaving my legacy.
Thank you for that. All right. Speaking of their houses, it's a good transition over to Liz on that. So, Liz, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Liz Levine, loan officer with US Bank. Slight correction to the years on the job. It's actually been a little over 26 years.
I am so sorry, darling.
I did the time.
You did.
And a little bit different background story from, Sharda and Larissa. I actually fell into my job at the age of 19. I was working as a receptionist in a real estate office Thursday through Sunday. And when you're 19, what do you not want to be doing on the weekend? Working, because everyone else is going out to have fun. And I answered an email, someone looking for an assistant. She's actually my current business partner. We are still business partners after 26 and a half years. We joke that we've been together longer than we have been with our husbands. So the divorce would be a hell of a breakup. But and I didn't like numbers. Math was never my strong suit in high school and in college. But the part I loved the most was helping people realize dreams that they didn't think were available to them. Getting the information out, the education piece of it. I was lucky enough to have somebody in my corner, my business partner, who, when I started with her at 19, started talking to me about buying a house. And I'm like, what 19-year-old owns a house? This is insane. No way. And I was stupid enough not to listen to her for about 4 years. And then I did listen to her. And it has afforded me opportunities that I don't think I would have had if I, hadn't. And perfect example, my husband, his dad is a financial advisor. And let me tell you, the first time he bought a house was 2021. And
Wow.
I bought a house in 2003. And it's forgetting to share that information or not thinking that it's valuable. It is incredibly valuable information. In addition to doing Women's Council of Realtors, I'm also on the PR committee for Girls Inc. But one of my new involvements is actually with Women's Education and Leadership Institute at Hartnell College, talking to women in their scholarship program, doing financial literacy classes, because I don't think that financial advice, what Sharda does, what Larissa does, what I do is talked about enough. The information isn't shared. We are 3 people in, a sea trying to get that information out to, help women, help individuals, help anybody who's willing to listen.
Well, that's funny that you share that, Liz, because my husband, I had bought and sold 2 homes before my husband and I got married and bought our first home together. And it was really weird kind of see him going through the first time home ownership. And I'm like, what are you worried about? Okay, I've done this twice.
Exactly.
What are some things that women really should know when they're out there looking for that first home or really starting to buy that house to be better informed buyers?
Talk to a mortgage professional, talk to a financial advisor. I think they'd be surprised about how many people are willing to spend the time and educate them. For me, it's not about finding the perfect house right off the bat. I tell you, believe me, my first condo, my 1 bedroom, 1 bath was not the perfect house, but what it did was it got me in my foot in the door for home ownership. And it allowed me to build equity to take the next step, for that next house. And then the third step to be able to move to Monterey County, achieving a dream my husband and I had for years. It's ask the questions and start early, even if, and I think one thing pains me the most is they don't think that they can do it. Even if you don't think you can do it, have the conversation, ask the questions. That conversation is going to give you the keys to those goals, down the road. You may not be able to buy a house right now, but you can definitely take the steps to build towards that.
And what advice do you give, or is there any differing advice that you would give to, say, a single mother versus a married couple?
I don't know that I have any different advice other than ask the questions, get the information, start early. It's not just a dream. It can be achieved, and it can be achieved with and finding people who are going to support you to be able to do it. Again, just that's square one, because I think people will be surprised. It seems so hard and such a distant dream for most people when it actually could very be, around the corner. Sharda talked about the 50-30-20 rule.
I love that rule. I use it in businesses too.
Yeah, it's such a great rule. And she started saying it, I'm like, I got a version of that talk when I was in my early 20s from my business partner going, say, put away 10% of your paycheck every month, for emergencies, for travel, for whatever you want to do. And it's something I stuck with. And being in the mortgage industry, I mean, we had a great, from 1999 when I started till pretty much 2021, I had a great ramp up period. And then all of a sudden I needed that little tool that she gave me. I needed it because the market changed. And it was such a valuable lesson for me.
Thank you for that. All right, Sharda, I'm going to circle back with you on a question here. What practical, speaking of, single mom, married couple, what kind of practical strategies can you give a single individual or divorced professional to help them build wealth and financial security over, the long run?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Liz touched on this, and I'm just going to say it again. So start early and stay invested. So even if it's just $25, start with that. And even if you're, 50, 60 and you haven't started saving yet, I've talked to a lot of people who are older, and there's almost like a shame, or they feel bad that they haven't started yet. It's like you have to just do it. And the other thing is, pick a good advisor, pick a good investment, and stay with it. Don't, just because there's a little bit of noise going on in the stock market because of tariffs or this or that, don't trade out of it. Stay in a good fund and work with a good advisor and stay the course. If you are going to get a divorce, I would say get an attorney. I don't care if you and your husband have this great relationship and you talked to a mediator. I've seen so many times where women have gotten the short end of the stick because they didn't want to ruffle feathers. They went to a mediator and they were pretty much bullied by their ex. So I would say if you're going to get a divorce, it doesn't cost you anything to have a consultation with an attorney. I encourage an attorney.
Can I chime in on that too?
Absolutely.
To piggyback on what Sharda's saying is a lot of what I see when a divorced woman comes to me, they had no idea what their previous finances were when they were married. Make it your business. There is, and if your spouse is shaming you into being nosy about it, be nosy. It is important that you know what you have. It should be, you know, in a perfect world, it should absolutely be joint. That every, you know, that you equally know what assets you have, what debts you have, all of it. But it breaks my heart when it comes time and they have no idea.
Mhm. Yeah, there's a term for it that's kind of new. It's called financial infidelity, right?
Mhm.
So that's when one partner keeps information from the other partner, builds a bunch of debt without the other partner knowing. So yeah, that's very important for divorced women. And then for you know, so now you're divorced or you're single or you're widowed, just stay educated. And then also remember that you're going to you're going to most likely live longer than men. You're going to more likely need long-term care. So be sure to have some type of long-term care plan. There's other ways you can look at, you know, tax efficiency. I'm sure everybody's heard of Roth IRAs or Roth conversions. Those are some complex strategies, but if you work with a professional, they can save you on taxes in the long run. I would, yeah, and I always recommend make sure that you have a trust. You want to always avoid probate. And so what does probate mean? Well, in the state of California, not to get too in the weeds here, but in the state of California, a small estate that can bypass probate is just around $208,000 this year. That includes the equity in your home. So, I mean, how many people in California have an estate that's more than 208,000? A lot, because that's a really small amount. Well, what does that mean? Well, half of that, if you go through probate, half of that you can just say goodbye to, and your heirs can say goodbye to, because it goes to the courts and it goes to the attorneys. So that's one of the number one things that we recommend is to have a trust. And then also remember, you can always reach out to most professionals for free. They'll do the initial consultation for free. A good professional will give you resources. So just stay informed, and don't let your disappointment or shame stop you from reaching out to a professional.
No, thank you for that, because yeah, probate is very, very costly, particularly if you're looking to pass that wealth on to future generations. Larissa, you have your hand up. I don't know if you have a question or you're ready for me to move over to you.
No, I wanted to add to that because I do want to empower women. Again, empowerment, right? Don't, you know, I've heard this a lot where women say, well, I can't retire now. My husband's retiring, but I can't because I didn't put money into a 401k, or I didn't do it. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Just so women know, you are able to use your husband's pay to inherit into your own 401k and your own retirement as well. So don't say, you know, or don't think like, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. I don't have money. I can't do this. You very well can. And it is extremely important. Sharda kind of touched on a lot of that. Thank you, Sharda. That was great. You know, speak up for yourself. And, you know, many of us, when we go into getting married or relationships, we don't think that we're going to get divorced, right? It's, you know, we go into that like fairy tale moment and everything's perfect and I'm having kids and life is great. But still think about yourself and think about how you're going to be able to exit that marriage. Not that any of us want to. It's not something that we ever want to, you know, go into and say, hey, you know, I'm going to get divorced in 15 years. But just protect yourself and be prepared.
Thank you. All right, I have one more question for each of these ladies, but before I hit them with that, do any of you guys here have any burning questions that has been sitting on your mind? You've got them here in front of you. Liz.
Question. And Larissa and Sharda, you guys made me think about it. Sharda, mostly because you said about a trust, putting your house in a trust. So when clients are purchasing houses, they do have a couple of opportunities in the state of California to hold title prior to being in a trust: joint tenancy, community property with right of survivorship. What's your preference? What is a financial advisor, before they get to the trust, is there one you lean towards more than the other?
Joint
Tenancy?
with rights of survivorship.
Got it.
With
That's
rights
what
of
I figured.
survivorship.
Okay.
Yeah. And that just means everyone that if one person dies, then the other person gets the house. Yeah. If you do
Great
joint
point.
tenancy, then that might mean that if one person dies, then their heirs get half of the house, and you don't want that to happen typically with the husband and wife. Yeah.
I would like to jump in and just add something too. When you're younger and you're first purchasing a home, it's always good to think about life insurance. How can we afford to pay for that home if one of the spouses passes away? Who is going, is there a sole provider of the home? How are we going to continue to pay for this home? Because sometimes you'll see, a tragic situation happen, and then now they're both out of the home because the wife is left with, she's a stay-at-home mom. She's been taking care of 3 kids. And now all of a sudden, dad passed away and there's no more income. And now the home is gone. So.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, this is going to start a whole chain of conversation. There is life insurance, and then there's mortgage life insurance. Don't do mortgage life insurance. That is a one-use kitchen tool. Do life insurance. It covers so much more. It is a blanket application versus just protecting one thing.
I love how you guys have really already said not one thing fits all. That's why you seek your professionals in each area and what your goals are and what you need out of your legacy to know which direction to go, because it is absolutely true. Each situation, everything is different. Anybody else have any questions, Carrie?
No, I'm just going to say, I'm going to encourage you ladies to put your contact information in the chat so that if people, like you've already said that you're offering no cost initial consults so that they can be more educated, because you've just skimmed the top of it. You've provided a lot of really important information, and I can say, because I've actually experienced what was that term, financial infidelity, for my first husband. So it's a real thing. And so how important it is that we advocate for ourselves. So I just want to underline that and encourage you to put your contact information in there, and encourage each one of you, if you do have further questions, money can be a shameful issue, and it's nothing to be ashamed of that you don't have all the answers. This isn't something that you do day in and day out, but these women do. So I'm going to encourage you to do that. And I'm just going to say, I know, Krista, you were talking about a quick question.
Yeah, I got 2 more minutes on my timer.
Beautiful. Go at it.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to ask each of you to just give me a quick best tip that you would like everybody to walk out with. So Sharda, what would that be?
I would say to start investing early and stay invested.
Love it. Liz.
Ask the questions, make the phone call. I think people would be hopefully pleasantly surprised how many people there are out there who want to help you. It doesn't cost anything. Just ask the questions, because I know there's people like myself, Sharda, Larissa, we want to help. I think it's in our nature, and it's important to us.
Thank you. And Larissa.
Oh, I'm going to go back to protecting yourself, never be afraid. Always keep yourself in mind. I know as women, we're naturally caregivers, right? And we always want to take care of everyone else. But at the end of the day, you have to think about yourself as well.
Well, thank you, ladies, very much for coming today. You've been a wealth of information, and again, I do say reach out to each of these professionals to learn more on anything you may have a question with, because one size does not fit all. And we want to make everybody wants to make sure you leave this godly place with everything you hope and desire. So thank you, ladies, and Carrie, I turn it over to you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you again. Like, give it up for these ladies that put their heart and soul into really sharing with us some of their tips and tools that they've acquired, their wisdom over the past, I don't know, what did we say, 20 some odd years for many of you. So just loving you up and appreciating your contributions today. And I just want to say we look forward to seeing you at our next events, because to remember that your network is your net worth. So I look forward to connecting with each one of you very soon. And I just want to say blessings. Thanks so much for being here today. Go forth and enjoy, yes, enjoy sharing your wisdom with the world. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Blessings. Bye for now.